everyone, my name is Shelby and this is the YouTube series where I reveal what's inside these mystery pottery molds I found on Gumtree. This is part 16 and I'm finally doing one with lots of holes because I've had so many requests to do one of these molds. So having a look, it has 6 holes and one half of the mold is thicker than the other side, and then D1435 is the registration number. Flipping it over, on the bottom it actually says that it is a sunflower character made in 96 by Donna's Moulds, and I love how the Donna's Moulds has little flowers for the O's. That is so cute. So opening it up, it is cute little sunflower characters. But the thing was, I didn't know what the characters would actually look like. I guess characters is quite an open word. Opening it inside, I have to clean them, and this one actually had a spider's nest, which was really lovely. So I made sure to drown that before wiping it out, just to make sure no creepy crawlies came for me. So sponging them all down and putting them together and adding the rubber band. So with this one, I kind of overestimated the size of rubber band I needed, and I got one that was too big and realized as soon as I popped it on, so I got some smaller ones and popped those on too. You can use tire inner tube, and there's like ratchet strap things that you can get as well for larger molds, but I've just got these really nice 4-inch and 6-inch rubber bands that you can get from a lot of like ceramic supply shops, as well as like plaster supply shops and mold making shops. So pop that together and gently pour each of the holes. The mystery for me for this one is actually seeing what these are used for, because a sunflower character leaves a lot to the imagination. I feel like these could be used to embellish lots of different things, like put on mugs and cups and things like that, but also they look as if they could be cute little ornaments. I haven't seen sunflowers hanging up on a Christmas tree before, but I'm really curious to see how they come together once they are setting and finished. So I let that one set for about 10 minutes because they're quite small designs, and then I sort of just let it drip out. You can kind of see the drips coming out, and I let it sit on the bucket to get any excess out, and then taking it off the rubber bands and opening up the mold. These critters are totally groovy. I love them. They actually look like little pastas, like little dried pasta. Obviously you can't eat these, but they are so dainty, and the faces are also quirky. I can't believe I didn't notice that they were different faces when I opened the mold initially, but they are absolutely a group of absolute smiles. I love each one of them, and I love the 3D detail on them. Like, I love that they've got that back of where the bud of the sunflower, it's almost really lifelike in that sense of an actual sunflower, how the sort of petals come out of that back green bud. I'm calling it a bud. It probably has a proper name, but yeah, I think they're really adorable, and I'm actually really excited to paint them. So I pulled these out. They were still a little bit soft. I was being impatient and pulled them out before they were ready, but I also wanted to make sure that I cut the bottom pieces off, like the little pouring spout. So I wanted to make sure that they came off really easily and that I wasn't sort of fiddling with them, because if I let it dry for too long, I could have broken some of those bottom petals. I did end up doing that later on. I poured a few more of these, but yeah, that's why I pulled them out a little bit earlier than what I should. You should generally wait until they're really leather hard, and these were still quite soft. So I let them dry out completely, and because of the pointy, really fragile petals, they're so small, I decided to sponge down the hole and make it all smooth, and I actually bisque fired them because I didn't want to risk painting them and holding them and sort of having them crumble under my fingers. So these are out of the bisque kiln. They don't change too much. The only thing you can notice is that they are quite hard, like they're almost ready to be used, but they're still quite fragile, and they also sort of feel they've got like a pink color to them, so you can't see on here, but when they're wet they actually have a pinker color rather than that gray dusty color that like unfired clay has. So I begin to paint these ones, And I'm just going really simple. I'm not really adding much of my own flair onto them. The only thing I add my own flair onto is actually the faces. So how I paint my faces is how I'm going to paint the faces on these ones. So in with that really soft green. It's going for a sort of a more pastel-y palette. With sunflowers, they have that quite vivid, rich green on their petals and on the stem. So this is a softer colour compared to normal sunflowers. So speeding that right up. The funny thing was I only painted 6 of these on this YouTube, but I have so many made up from the mould because I wanted heaps of these because they're so cute. I wanted them in mass. I wanted bulk sunflower love, and I was painting them, and because of the petals, I'm painting them right now in the yellow. I kind of had to paint them on both sides at the same time, so I had to paint the back and the front at the same time. And because of that, you can't sort of put it down, so you have to hold it. So I gave each one to my partner to hold whilst it dried before I added the second coat, because I didn't want it to smudge when I put it down. So you can kind of see how they like lean on the petals on the table there. If I put it down, that yellow could have smudged. And he was holding them and he was like, I feel like I'm about to eat a ravioli. Like, they feel like little raviolis, and I couldn't like unsee ravioli when I was painting them. So I felt like I was doing like pasta art, like back in kindergarten, because we used to do pasta art and stick like little macaronis onto canvases and things like that. But yeah, it was really funny, and I can't unsee it as ravioli. So yeah, just enjoy me painting for a little bit. It was really quite relaxing, just knowing exactly where I needed to put the colour and having like bulk areas to paint. I actually have had like a massive learning curve with filming for YouTube, because usually when I make my art, it's usually just me just like going about my business. But with filming it, I have to sort of reposition the camera when I do something new, or make sure it's nice and zoomed in when I'm doing the fine details. And often it's really hard to paint on camera. I don't have a reverse facing like screen, so I can't actually see whether I'm actually recording, and sometimes I move out of frame. Like, I move out of frame a lot and I have to reshoot a lot of the things. But like with this shot here where I'm doing the faces of the sunflower characters, usually I would be holding that right up to my face, like making sure that it's like right in front of me so I can see it very clearly. And when I do the YouTube, sometimes it's really hard to actually paint them, and I don't always love them as much, and I end up going back and and touching them up to make them perfect, because I'm a bit of a perfectionist with my lines and details and things like that. So that's just something that I've learned. And now when I watch YouTube, I'm like, how are they filming that? How are they getting that so good when it's so close up? Maybe I need to invest in a camera that's just got that screen so I can actually see and make sure that I'm doing it, and can also paint like I normally would. But yeah, here with the faces, because the eyes were so tiny, I actually went in with one of my ball stylus tools and sort of added the little dots in the eyes that way. So with the ball stylus, I sort of did some round motions to sort of bring the circle a bit bigger than what the ball stylus had, and that meant that I didn't sort of smudge it and muck it up like I would if I was using a paintbrush, especially filming it and trying to do it from a distance. So again, I'm using that fine liner brush, I think they're called. This one I got from Officeworks. It's pretty good. I go through these brushes a lot. Like, I end up losing a lot of bristles because I paint so many pieces with these. So this one's quite a new one, so it's still really smooth and lovely to use. There's a few other ones that I've got that are a bit daggy, and I avoid using them once I get a new one, but this one's really good. So again, that ball stylus tool, just adding those really small details. So here I'm starting to sort of add my own little I guess attachments to it that are my style. So the eyes are my style, and also those little pink cheeks, which I usually do on all my work. The nose is actually the same shape that I would paint on a character like this, so it already had that shaped nose. And then with some of them I add a few little freckles just to make it all all sunny and cheery, kind of like an Australian kid in the sun. So they came out really cute. But after I did the freckles, they kind of started to look a little bit like lion heads. And my friend came over and I was like, do these look like lions? And she's like, no, they look like sunflowers. Where are you getting this from? But I honestly thought they started to look like lions. Like, this one looks like the Cowardly Lion with that little face, how it's little wonky smile. Like, he's kind of confident but also a little bit nervous. I don't know. I kept thinking of the Wizard of Oz lion when I was painting this one. And I don't know. I think they look like sunflowers still, but I'm kind of getting a lion vibe as well. So I decided to leave these ones unglazed because of the shape of them. They sort of roll around when they're sitting on their side, and if I was going to gloss them, I was going to do it on the front, so their faces. And I just felt that if the heat and the way the heat works, they might roll around in the kiln too, and I don't want them knocking and sticking to each other and having a disaster. So I popped them through, and this is what they look like. They look so quirky, and I just love how each one has its own character. It's so gorgeous. And for showing you sake, I actually didn't fit them all in the kiln, but it gave me a good example to show you the difference between firing and unfired work. So this one has not been fired yet. It's bisqueware with underglaze, and the ones next to it are so much more vibrant. They've been through that glaze firing temperatures, and the colors just really pop. Another thing that changes when they go through that higher temperature after bisque is they can shrink. Well, they will shrink. It varies depending on the piece, but there is quite a noticeable difference in the shrinkage, and that's just something to be aware of when you're making pottery. So with these, I got some E600, and this is used for a lot of pottery. If you want to make earrings, things like that, it's used for sort of sticking things to ceramic, or it can be used for polymer clay, anything like that. It is the bee's knees. But I realized when I was making them, which I didn't note before, is that they are actually meant to be for daisy stakes, that sort of like prop in your garden. And this made me so much more excited than the fact that they were ornaments, because I could just imagine like seas of these in my garden, like poking out through lots of different flowers and just being an all year round flower. Like, I don't know whether you've got a garden or not, but my flowers go through seasons and waves. So I'll have a garden that's full of foliage for a couple of months, and then I'll have a garden that's full of flowers, but I never have ones that just sort of stick around. So I'm hoping that these ones will go in my garden and they'll stick around for a while. So I've just added that glue onto some 4mm dowel that I cut to size, and then some of them I did have to sand the ends back because the hole for the stake was a little bit small. But I wriggled that in and wriggled the glue around the dowel, which you could see before, to make sure that it sort of adhered to the inside of the sunflower. And here we go, look at that, that's what I mean, little flowers sticking through the other flowers. So I packed all of these up and I actually took them out to the local sunflower farm out at Dunstown. So Dunstown is located an hour away from Melbourne and about 10 minutes from Ballarat. It's a really short drive and it is so worth it. Walking through these beautiful rays of sunshine is just gobsmackingly beautiful. It is awe-inspiring, absolutely phenomenal. Like, I don't know how to explain it, you just have to experience it. It just brings a smile to your face everywhere you look, and they also set up some cute little photo backdrops for you to enjoy. So I actually have a couple of molds that I had a friend go through and find sort of sunflower-esque themed pieces, because these are in bloom for the next month or so, and comparing these stakes with the real deal, I am so amazed. They are so pretty and gorgeous. I am obsessed. Make sure to let me know in the comments what you think, and like and subscribe for part 17.